Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tipoff 2022-2023. Dr. Ron Poniewasz, joined by Professor Larry Kelly. We are the Tipoff crew, the award-winning Tipoff crew, and Larry is a member of the Luxembourg, Garbutt, Kelly and George law firm and the varsity baseball coach at Shenango. First off, Larry, two things. Welcome aboard, and thank you for joining us. And number two, as we sit here on Thursday, March 16th, happy 316 Day. And tomorrow is opening day of spring sports. So I know you're excited about that.
Well, Mother Nature hasn't been cooperating very much. We haven't been on our own baseball field yet at Shenango. We actually had two practices at the West Pittsburgh field last week, and we had a scrimmage tonight. We actually utilized Westminster's field against West Middlesex, and my guys did okay. Pitchers only walked one batter in 7 innings. We only struck out, I think, 2 times, didn't make any errors. So that's winning baseball. So if we can continue to do that, we're going to be okay.
Just do me a favor, Larry. Keep all clocks away from high school baseball. Keep shifts in high school baseball. That's the way baseball is meant to be played, my friend.
I got to be honest with you. I kind of like the pitch clock. I do. It makes the game go faster. Now I've only seen a few games, but I kind of like it. And, high school pitchers, they're not like these pros. They catch it and they're ready to throw the next pitch. And quite frankly, you don't see too many shifts in high school baseball, only because we don't have the analytical data that will allow us to do it. If we're lucky, we get to scout our team once or twice before we play them. Unlike hoops, there is no huddle, there is no film. So, I don't see any shifts coming in high school baseball anytime soon.
I am the opposite of everybody else. I hate the clock, and I love the shift. So baseball is a game that is meant for no clock of any sort. That's why you never say, how much time's left in the 4th inning? Doesn't exist.
You're a traditionalist. I can appreciate that.
All right. Larry, let's start off with Athlete of the Week. And for the print edition, our Athlete of the Week was Grant McKay of Laurel Wrestling. And he won a state championship over the weekend at 160 pounds. He's going to be competing.
That's back-to-back for Grant, isn't it? He won last year?
He won one in his sophomore year. He did not win it last year. So.
Okay. So it's his second state championship. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. His second state title in 3 years competing for Laurel. He started his career at North Allegheny, so that comprises his 4-year career. So he finished with two state titles. He defeated Grove City's Hunter Holman by decision, 5-0. These two competed in the Fred Bell tournament earlier in the season, and he won, he being McKay. I believe that one was 7-1. So quite a season for Grant McKay. And again, he's going to compete collegiately at Pitt. Yeah,
and Pitt has a great wrestling team, one of the best in the ACC. Look, I have the utmost respect for wrestlers. When I went to Slippery Rock, the Slippery Rock wrestling program was one of the best in the country at any division. And, I was lucky enough to play varsity baseball. And I thought we worked hard. And, during the winter months, we might have a practice, because we couldn't be outside from 6 to 8, and then we may lift weights for another hour. And I would come back to my dorm at 10 o'clock, and the wrestlers who had already had a 3-hour practice would be putting on their sweats and getting ready to go out and run another 5 miles. These are tough dudes, man. And this Grant McKay is special. To win 2 state championships is a special achievement. He's going to the University of Pittsburgh. There's a reason he's going to be wrestling for Pitt. And again, they are one of the best wrestling programs in the ACC. This young man's not only talented, they're tough, they're self-disciplined. They portray all of the elements that I would wish for in any student athlete. That toughness, that discipline, that ability to focus. Congratulations, Grant. Well-deserved, young man.
Okay, and congratulations to Grant McKay. I'll second that. While we're speaking of Athlete of the Week, and because we didn't have a chance to talk last week, we will honor our 2 teams that won WPIAL championships, and that would be the Shenango girls and the Union girls. First WPIAL championships for both programs. We had 6 teams competing for district championships, 5 at the WPIAL level, 1 at District 10. Our schools went 2-4, 2-3 in WPIAL, and Wilmington was 0-1 for the District 10 team. So, Larry, your thoughts on 2-4, not the greatest, but at least we got 2 winners.
Well, to get 6 teams from Lawrence County in the championship games is impressive, Ronnie. Lawrence County sports has really established itself as a pillar among high school sports. One of the leaders, it's the gold standard. To have 6 teams to play in the district finals is really amazing. And once you get there, Ronnie, anything can happen in one game. Congratulations to Union and Shenango. Watched both of those games. Tremendous efforts by those young ladies to win the championship. And at the same time, I was at the Newcastle game, and I watched Union. Union loses to a private school, a non-boundary school that just so happened to bring 3 studs in September. I saw Mark Stanley's comments after the game, and I'm totally with him. I still believe that there's no reason under law. I've done the research. I pointed it out that you cannot make the teams play the non-boundary schools in their own bracket. And, there was an article in the Post-Gazette, the public schools won 4 of the 6. And, they did this year, but that's an aberration. It normally doesn't turn out that way. Newcastle lost to a non-boundary school, Central Catholic. And, Central Catholic was good, and they were better than us that day. But at the same time, our guys, and I coached all of these guys. I watched them when they were little kids. If you had a compass and you drew a circle, they probably all lived within 3 miles of each other, 3-mile radius. And, you're playing Central Catholic, they draw kids from all over Pittsburgh. And they were a little better than us that day. We didn't shoot real well that day. But it's still quite an achievement to send 6 teams to the district championships. Quite an achievement, and really sets Lawrence County apart. Nobody else, I think, can say that they had 6 teams from their county in the district championships, outside of Allegheny, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's our athletes of the week. Grant McKay for his state title at 160 pounds from last week. And then a couple weeks ago, as we mentioned, observing the 2 Lawrence County WPIAL girls basketball championships from a couple weeks ago. We still have 5 schools competing in the WPIAL playoffs, and we'll talk about that next here in an additional segment as we tell you which teams are still alive and when they're playing. And we'll do that next right here on Tip-Off.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other, be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
Okay, we're back with you here on Tip-Off. And as I closed up the first segment, I mentioned we had 5 teams still competing. As I said, the WPIAL playoffs, it is the PIAA playoffs. So a Freudian slip, I guess you could say on that. So yes, 5 teams competing, still alive in the PIAA playoffs. They are all WPIAL schools. So I think that's where I started to go wrong on that one. Larry, we have 2 games on Friday, March 17th. 1 boys game, 1 girls game. We have the Union boys against Carlinton. Union boys are 24-3 and Carlinton is 19-7. These are Section 1 rivals. This is round 4. And Larry, I'm going to ask you first off, does this have a similar feel as Newcastle Hampton? where Hampton just, had 3 cracks of the apple, and then, all right, you get one more chance in the PIAA playoffs. You couldn't do it the first 3 times. Same thing with Carlinton. Does this have that feel?
It does. Those Hampton teams were really good, Ronnie, but we were special at Newcastle back then. And if you remember, in the PIAA semifinal game, not the Western final, but the semifinal, they had a 7-point lead on us at halftime. And we had a couple guys in foul trouble. And, I just remember the start of the second half, Malik Hooker, who did not shoot many threes, shot a high percentage, but did not shoot many. First possession came down and hit a 3. And it just changed the momentum of the game. And we end up taking care of business and beating them. But listen, Hampton could have been the Whitfield champ 3 times, but for Newcastle. And you can say the same thing in our games against Quaker Valley. I mean, we beat them 3 times in the Whitfield championship game, and evenly matched teams. But we just were a little bit better in those championship games.
Yeah, sort of. Now, this is a history lesson for people that aren't our age, that's for sure. But, that you could say the same thing about the Houston Oilers and the Cincinnati Bengals of the 70s. Those teams could have probably battled it out for Central Division champs had it not been for Pittsburgh. But, you had Pittsburgh in there, and guess what? That's who was owning that division all those years. Yeah,
and again, I think Union's a little better than Carlinton. They just are. And, basketball is a game of matchups. And, when we would play those Hampton teams, they had the Luther twins that were outstanding basketball players. But we were just a little bit better at the guard position. And it was a tough matchup for Hampton. And, we just had their number. But a lot of those games were really close. They were hotly and highly contested. Bring back great memories, because I got a smile on my face every time I think about it, because, of course, the Red Hurricane came out on top. But I expect Union to come out on top on Friday. And then they have the winner of Amani Christian and Farrell. And if they play Amani Christian, after what Coach Stanley had to say last week, it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to tell you something. Those men from Union are not backing down. I'm telling you, they're going to come to play. Those are tough kids. And that game will be worth buying a ticket for if both Union and Amani Christian advance.
Union and Carlinton is 7:30 p.m. Friday. Amani Christian Farrell is the first game of that doubleheader. So I'm sure, Union fans might flock to that and get in there and possibly pull for Farrell. Or maybe they want to see Amani. Who knows? I just know that that's one of those things where, as you touched on with the boundary, non-boundary, it's just one of those things that if you're a fan, you could easily open a Word document and you could type a few graphs and say, I'm tired of insert school playing insert school, and they're always in it, and they're doing this, and they're recruiting and this and that, and that's why we can't win. Hit a few returns. And then the happy part of it is, yay, my school, insert school here, is finally, knocking off, insert private school here. And you can just hit save and have it on a template and copy and paste it and use it at your will. Because that's what we seem like we're doing every day. You get on social media and, you got one legion of fans that's tired of hearing about it. And the other legion of fans play Donkey Kong and, pound their chest over it. And it gets really insufferable to have to read it.
I mean, look, first of all, it might have been 3 or 4 years ago. I did the research. I went back 3 years or 4 years in the state tournament, and the non-boundary schools won 70% of the games played in the state tournament, and they won them by an average of 14 points. Now, every once in a while, you're going to get a public school that's special. Newcastle. Right. But then again, last year, Newcastle, that was a great basketball team we had, and we get blown out by Imhotep Charter. Imhotep Charter's 3 starting guards were being recruited by Kansas, Villanova, and Kentucky. And our 3 starting guards last year and this year are D3 basketball players. They're great athletes, but they don't have Division I bodies. Who's winning that game? The best example, about 4 or 5 years ago, Sharon had won 25 games in a row, beat us in like the Western semifinal. They were a great basketball team and got beat by Imhotep Charter 71-35 in the state championship game. They won 25 games in a row and got beat 71-35. Is that what you want to watch in the state championship game? About 5 or 6 years ago, the Shannock women played Canavan in the Whitfield championship game, and we played right after that down at the Peak. The score at halftime was 30-15 Canavan. They had 2 guards that could have started on our boys team. Again, is that what you want to see in a Whitfield championship game? I don't think so. So my point is, hey, go out and get whoever you want, but come playoff time, play in your own bracket, and let's see how that turns out.
I just don't know if it'll ever change. If I could put a lifeline on my lifetime, and I live another 30 years, I can't imagine that it gets changed. Just I kind of live my life of play the hand you're dealt. If you're talking blackjack, play the ball as it lies. If you're talking golf, if you're shooting billiards, don't pick up the cue ball and move it all around the table until you have it where you want it. I mean, you got to play the ball where it lies until the state tells you otherwise. There's as far as I'm concerned, you just got to play the ball where it lies. You got to play the hand you're dealt. And
okay, yeah, all right, I'm all right with that. Let's go play a best ball event. You can have Pete Sirianni as your partner, and I'm gonna go get Tiger Woods. You want to play that game? I mean, my point is, Ronnie, it would be as if we had a Tri-County All-Star team from Lawrence County play Amani Christian, Amani Christian. I'd like to see that game. Give me the 5 best players from Lawrence County, and we'll go play that game, because that's what you're playing. You're playing an AAU team from Pittsburgh. It's a little different. But guess what? I grew up in an era, go get whoever you think you need, and we'll be waiting for you. If Union got to play Amani Christian, they're going to show up. And those cats are going to play hard. And they're going to play hard for their coach, because his neck's out there about 6 miles. But I'm okay with that. I stand with him. I think that it's just an unfair playing field. Truth be told, a great Newcastle team last year. If there was a line on that game, you're a betting man, we'd have been a 20-point underdog. We covered. I don't think we got beat by 20, but truth be told, we were never in the game.
Well, I really hope Farrell wins that game against Amani, because just to sit there and read both legions of people going back and forth of boundary, non-boundary versus people that say, play the ball where it lies type of thing. We've read that. We read it about 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you what, if Amani wins and Union wins, you can just copy and paste what was written, getting on your template, because here it comes. It's coming again. So I'd like to see Farrell, advance from that point of view.
It could happen. We'll see.
All right. Class 2A girls is the other game on Friday, and that'll be Nango 24-4 against Greensburg Central Catholic 23-5. That's a 6 p.m. tip at Fox Chapel High School, and that again is in the PIAA Class 2A playoffs. Larry, the Lady Wildcats are just really playing well, but however, as well as they're playing, they're trying to get through. As I almost knocked the camera off, they're trying to get through injuries and stuff like that. Janie Natal's playing through injuries. Breaking news tonight, as we revealed, Cody Pattison found out that Ashley DeCarbo is out for the remainder of the playoffs with a torn ACL.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a tough girl, Ashley. She's probably their defensive stopper. They normally put her on the best player on the other team. She's a scrapper. I've watched Ashley play, man. She can play on my team any day, and that's a big loss for the Wildcats. ACL tear, and she won't be playing. Now, of course, they're playing Greensburg Central Catholic, so I'm sure that they got girls from all over the region. This is going to be a tough test for the Wildcats, especially being shorthanded.
Sure, yeah, but as hard as Shenango plays, You know, they've got players that can plug and play. We'll see how they do against Greensburg Central Catholic. And the winner of this game, Shenango Greensburg Central Catholic, will play the winner of Bishop McCourt and Kennedy Catholic. And I tell you what, Kennedy Catholic is a machine, Larry Kelly.
Does that surprise you? Does that surprise you? Another non-boundary school. Again, let me go get an all-star team. Let me get an all-star team. Boy, it would be a good one. Lawrence County all-star team, women's team. Let me start plugging out some of those players in. Marion Haggerty from the Shannock. The girl that just broke the scoring record at Laurel, whose name, I'm sorry, escapes me. Who am I thinking of? She was athlete of the week last week, I think, or she was noted. Pardon me?
Reagan
yes.
Atkins.
Yeah, tremendous player. Let me get her on a team. Let me get Janie Nattell on that team. Let me get the Fred Beasy girl on the team from Shenango. Let me get 5 of the best, and then we'll go play anybody you want to play. I mean, again, that's just the way it goes.
Larry Kelly's like the Energizer Bunny when you talk about boundary, non-boundary. You don't need to wind him up. He's just gonna go constantly.
Listen, I try to do something about it. I try to do, and when the PIAA says that the law as it is written doesn't allow a separate bracket, they're not only wrong, they're dead wrong. They're dead wrong on that. I mean, I spent a lot of time, and the last time I checked, the guys that are saying from the PIAA that they're not permitted to do that, those people don't have a law degree. I do. I actually graduated cum laude from University of Akron, so I like to think I'm a better lawyer than I am a coach. Let's just say that.
I like I said, you know, I could live 30 more years. I don't think it'll change. But here's the thing, Larry. If it does change, this is a type of upset it would be. It would be like a 16 in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, or even women's beating a 1 seed. It would be a minus 10,000.
I agree with you, Ronnie. I agree with you. But I just watched Princeton beat Arizona, and I had Arizona in my bracket winning it all. So in the Kelly family bracketology, I just got a thank you for entering. I got no chance of winning now that Arizona, who I had winning it all, got beat in the first round.
Let me give you a little piece of advice, Larry. About 10 or 11 years ago, you know, with high school basketball consuming, you know, our time at this time of year, and I can remember thinking, geez, I forgot to do a bracket. It's an early Thursday. Guess what? I started just betting the tournament. That's my bracket nowadays.
There you go.
I bet totals.
Well, I hope you had Princeton. You could have went to sleep at halftime. They end up beating them.
I had Furman in the points. I had Arizona State minus the points last night, but I'm sure people don't care what I have. How about we transition over to Saturday, Larry? Neshannock boys 20-7 against Deer Lakes, 19-8. I guarantee you, Larry, the Lancers will win this game.
Why are you making that guarantee?
Oh, I got him. Deer Lakes is the Lancers.
Oh, okay. Listen, I like the Shannock. They're playing really, really well. And you know, the key in basketball is to play your best basketball in March, not in December. And they're doing that. It's like Duke, the Blue Devils. They were blowing out Oral Roberts. They're playing their best basketball now. And the Lancers are playing their best basketball now. So I look for them to survive in advance. I really do. John Corey's doing a great job, and he has those young men playing, and they're doing a really, really good job. I mean, they're playing well.
That is a noon tip-off at North Allegheny, with the winner of that one squaring off against Penn Cambria and Franklin. And that matchup, the semifinal matchup, would be held on Tuesday. Larry, I think Neshannock is collectively, coaching staff, the players, they're all living right. When you miss 7 free throws in a row in the fourth quarter and the game's on the line and it's not a blowout, and you go 7 of 16 from the foul line for the game, and you still find a way to win, you guys are living right.
Well, you know, I've always said, Ronnie, when you win a championship, there are things that fall your way. It's, you know, it's almost like, well, it's your turn, because you're right. You miss 7 foul shots in the fourth quarter in a tight game, you're not winning. You're not. But when you do win that game, you start thinking maybe it's our turn. There's a little bit of luck in sports. There's a little bit of karma. There's a little bit of mojo. There's a little bit of things that have to happen. When Newcastle won the state championship in 2014, there was, and maybe you were there covering it. Do you remember the block charge call right at the end of the game? That call goes our way. And I remember somebody had it on YouTube from right behind the play. I think it was the absolutely right call that Malik Hooker took a charge. But if that call goes the other way, we lose to Abington and we don't go to the state championship game. So again, when you win a championship, you can always look back and say, this went our way, that went our way, this call went our way, notwithstanding the fact we missed 7 foul shots, we still won the game. When it's your turn, stuff like that happens.
Okay, here's one for you, Larry, to get excited for. Newcastle boys 24-3 against Reading, which is 29-1. This game is 2 p.m. at Altoona, a Class 6A matchup. Right out of the gate, Larry, I think Newcastle got a huge win by being at Altoona. I was thinking Chambersburg, somewhere like that. I mean, Reading's got a huge fan base. Similar to Newcastle, they're going to bring fans. This is going to be a packed house on Saturday.
Yeah, when we beat Abington, that game I was talking about was at Chambersburg, and that's a long ride. I remember we got home at like 1:30 in the morning that day, and one thing again I'll always remember, and I hope our fan base it doesn't get mad at me for reminiscing. I'm an old guy; that's what I do. We probably got home at 1:30 in the morning that day. And there had to be 200 people waiting for us at the field house when we got off the bus. I mean, I still remember it. It brings a smile to my face. So, yes, that game could have been at Chambersburg, which is about 3.5 hours for us. But truth be told, only about an hour from Reading. Altoona is about 2 hours for us, probably on a school bus a little longer. And it's probably a couple hours from Reading. So it's middle ground for both teams. But this is a big ask for Newcastle. This Reading team's loaded. They're loaded. But it's a public school. And guess what? If you get beaten by a public school where they're gathering their players from a district and they're all in the same district, I can live with that. It's just, and I'll take our chances. Listen, we're showing up. If people think the Hurricane is not showing up against Reading, they're wrong. And if we just got to shoot it a little better than we did against Central Catholic. And look, Central Catholic played us tough. They played really good defense. They had us scouted. They know we're a great three-point shooting team. They guarded the three-point line. And, and we end up getting beat that day. But anytime I got a team coached by Ralph Belando, when I got guys like Jonathan Anderson and Isaiah Boyce and Nicky Wallace and DeJean Young and little Ralphie Belando, I'm taking my shot. These guys are warriors, Ronnie. They're just warriors. And it would not surprise me if we upset Reading on Saturday.
Yeah, you just got to put your money on Newcastle. If you haven't learned that by now, you've been out to lunch for sure. And Reading is, as we mentioned, 29-1. They're led by a senior recruit that's going to Ryder, Ruben Rodriguez. I think he might have around 2,000 points by now. The last I saw, he was over 1,800, and that was sometime in February. So I'm going to assume that he's not quite at 2,000 yet. He's averaging right around 20 points a game, 6'1" guard. Again, Ruben Rodriguez. I've seen clips of him online. Yeah, real deal. You'll go into Ryder for a reason. That's because you're awfully good, and he is.
Yeah, and that's kind of what hurt us. The size advantage of the point guard for Central Catholic. He was about 6'2", 6'3", and he probably weighed 200 pounds. And he was being guarded by Jonathan and Isaiah, who they were giving up 4 or 5 inches and probably 20 or 30 pounds. And that's a big ask. And this young man was able to muscle his way in the paint. The referees let him play a little bit. He was pushing off, but they let him play both ways. So it's going to be a tough ask. Ralph, if you're listening, maybe we'll run some of that 12 half-court trap, get the ball out of his hands. to try to do something a little different. But that's not who we are. That defense that we run is a defense that, will show it 6-8 possessions in a game. And, it's very effective, but it's not effective long term. So, we'll see. We'll see.
All right. So the winner of Reading Newcastle will advance to meet Springford and State College. State College just knocked off Central Catholic last week. 57-47, I believe, was the final. So Springford State College winner to meet the winner of Newcastle Reading, and that'll be on Tuesday in the semifinals, state semifinals.
Yeah, and who's on the other side of the bracket? Archbishop Wood and Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
Running. Who's on the eastern side of the bracket? Is it Archbishop Wood and Roman Catholic, right?
Yeah, and Parkland and Coatesville also.
Yeah, so. Well, the state champion will be Archbishop Wood or Roman Catholic. I mean, again, you talk about, they're one of those schools like Imhotep Charter. They'll have 3, maybe 4 Division I basketball players on a team.
I saw, and remember, I do not have Twitter, just monitoring our site. I saw a guy that does brackets or whatnot for predictions. I think it was this guy, and somebody questioned him about Roman Catholic, and because he didn't have Roman Catholic to win it all. And I think he mentioned that Roman Catholic has at least 1 or 2 guys that might be out for the rest of the year with an injury. So I don't know. So I think that's why he picked Archbishop Wood to be coming out of that side of the bracket. So
we played Archbishop Carroll 5-6 years ago. They had a guy on their team who's in the NBA now, and who won the dunk contest. I think his name was Terrence Jones. He won the dunk contest in the NBA, and that's who was playing against us. I knew we were in a little bit of trouble when they came to the game. They didn't bring any cheerleaders and no fans. And, they had guys that probably met each other 10 minutes before the season started. But that's what you face when you play some of those teams from the East.
I was looking through brackets. I'm trying to find out. I think Archbishop Carroll has since went down in classification, haven't they? Or
they might have. Well, that's when we were. I don't know if we were still at 4A. Yeah.
That was Markel Hooker's year.
That was Markel Hooker's year. Markel, great player. Markel Hooker, all-state basketball player.
Yeah, and I think that's the game that he went over 1,000 on. Am I right?
He might have. He did. He was a great player. That was a great team. Unfortunately, we ran up against a team that had players from 3 different states.
Okay, so that leaves us with girls basketball, Class 1A. That is the Union girls 20-6 against Williamsburg, which is 28-1. This is a 1 p.m. Afternoon matchup at Katanning. I believe Armstrong High School, which is in Katanning. So, Larry, 20-6 Union, 28-1 Williamsburg, 1 p.m. at Armstrong, Class 1A playoffs. I tell you what, this is the round last year that the Lady Scots got beaten overtime or double overtime, I believe it was. They've been really, really itching to get back to this level, and here they are. They're hungry for this win, Larry, and I don't know. I don't know if Williamsburg is going to be able to contain Union. That's how bad Union wants this one.
They're good, and they're well coached. Man, has that program turned around under Coach Nogue, right? And how long has he been there now?
2 or 3 years, maybe 3.
Yeah. When my daughters played at Riverside, Union was a mercy rule game. Well, not anymore.
Right.
He has those young women excited. They have great talent. They're well coached, and they have a chance to win it all. They do, and that's exciting. Again, Ronnie, when you win the Whitfield Championship, my view is when I was at Newcastle and when we made our run in Shenango, the rest is gravy. You want to win your district. Winning the Whitfield Championship is a big deal. And if you can go on after that and win a state championship, then that's just a cherry on top of an ice cream sundae. But, they already took care of business, won the first Whitfield Championship in school's history. And, you're playing with house money now. That's the way I view it. Now, if you get to the championship game like we did at Shenango and we did at Newcastle, you want to win. You do. You want to win. But, getting there is an accomplishment. But, the PIAA tournament, in my view, is just icing on the cake after you win that Whitfield championship.
The Union Williamsburg winner will advance and meet Berlin Brothers Valley or Otto Eldred. And that semifinal matchup will be Tuesday next week. So, Larry, next week, very busy week. Any of these 5 teams that win over the course of Friday, Saturday, they'll have a condensed week. You play either Monday or Tuesday in the semis, and then it's off to Hershey if you're one of those fortunate ones to go all the way out there.
And I hope a couple of the teams make it. Man, what a great experience, Ronnie. I was fortunate enough with Newcastle to do it twice. Man, it's playing in the Giants Center. Man, it's a great experience. And, you want to win. Don't get me wrong. You want to win. You do once you get there. And it hurts to lose. But 20 years from now, if you do get there, the players and even the coaches, they're not going to necessarily remember the final result. They'll always remember the journey to have gotten there. And again, I'm still talking about the Western Final against Abington, to get Newcastle there. If you ask me about Shenango baseball's run to the state championship game, I can still tell you play by play what got us there. And it's an exceptional experience. So I'm hoping that next week when we talk, that a couple of our teams can get the opportunity to play at the Giant Center in Hershey, because it's special.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got 5 teams still remaining, Larry. One of the keys that I think these teams are going to have to do is button yourself up on free throw shooting, because we've had teams get eliminated from the playoffs where their free throw shooting has been poor and they've only lost by a couple points. Laurel Girls the other night, 8 of 17 at the foul line, lose by 2 points. The Shenango boys were eliminated in the WPIAL playoffs by a point or two and missed about 10 or 12 free throws, whatever it was. The Neshannock boys, as we touched on, were awfully lucky the other night, missing 7 free throws in a row, just going to the line, just you cannot get it. Fortunately, the defensive end was working for Neshannock. That's what won them that ball game. And then hitting a couple of free throws, finally breaking that spell and winning games. That's what you got to do is hit free throws.
You got to knock them down in the last 2-3 minutes of the game, Ronnie. You just have to. In a highly closely contested game, oftentimes the team that makes the free throws at the end, knocks them down, wins it. You got to be able to make them, because even if you have the lead, they're going to foul you and put you on the line. And you got to be able to knock them down. And again, you miss 7 in a row in the fourth quarter. Normally, good things don't happen.
Right. Naturally, as you would know, Ralph Blundo always calls it control the controllables. Is free throw shooting a controllable? I mean, you're standing on the line by yourself. There's nobody in your face. Is that a controllable?
I don't know that that's the type of controllable that he's speaking of, because, free throw shooting is, it's a physical part of the game. Control the controllables. We talk about being in the right position defensively. We talk about hustling back on defense. We talk about those kind of things. You can control your effort. You can control the mental aspects of the game. But when you go to the foul line in crunch time, that's a physical aspect. And, physical errors are acceptable. You miss a shot. It's the mental errors in the coaching profession that make you crazy when you're in the wrong position defensively, or you don't run the right play, or you don't know who you're watching, but everybody misses shots. Some of the best players in the world have gone to the foul line at the professional level and have missed shots down the stretch. So I certainly can never blame a high school kid or a high school girl for missing foul shots at the end of the game. It's a hard thing to do, to be able to knock them down.
Yeah, they're certainly not easy. That's for sure. There's the weight of the world. There's a lot of pressure on you for sure. Anything else, Larry, you want to say about our
That's
five
it,
teams?
buddy. It's going to be a great weekend for Lawrence County basketball. And as I said, our county has really distinguished itself in all sports. Think about it. I mean, football and what we've done as a county, getting to the Whitfield Championships, basketball, baseball. Lawrence County has really stepped up and established itself as the gold standard, the pinnacle for high school sports. And I give a lot of credit first and foremost to the players, because that's what it's all about, and the coaches who dedicate themselves, to give these players every opportunity to be successful.
Absolutely. All right. Well, best wishes to our 5 schools that are going to be competing in the PIAA Elite Eight round over Friday and Saturday. Best of luck to you, and try to get there on Monday or Tuesday. Get to next week. Next week's the final week. That's what you want. You want to be playing in that final week, because you only need to win one more to be going to Chocolate Town, Larry.
Survive and advance. So I watch it every year. It's the story of the 1983 North Carolina State Wolfpack, my man Jimmy Valvano, every year. And I watched it again this year even though I'm not coaching, before the playoffs started. Survive and advance.
I'm living proof that you can lead a lawyer to that very phrase.
Yes, you can. That's too easy.
That's right. That is too easy. All right. He's Larry Kelly. I'm Ron Poniewasz. Thank you for joining, everybody, and best of luck to our teams, coaching staffs, and our fan bases. Be safe out there when you travel to watch your team. And again, best of luck. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, we're talking about 5 teams again next week.
I became an attorney because I believe in hard work, fairness, and human decency. In a word, justice. Our workers' compensation clients deserve justice, because in an instant, their hard work turns into hard times when they get hurt on the job. No doubt, life is tough, but so am I. I've been fighting all my life, and I'll keep fighting for you. I'm Joe George, and here in Lawrence County, it's personal.